Hey everyone, in front of the camera here, I have the Lionsteel TRE G10. Now, this is kind of funny. It's called the TRE because the TRE stood for 3 Rapid Exchange. In the original TRE, you were able to remove the flipper tab, you were able to add a thumb plate, and the third method of deployment was the fact that you could do a two-handed pinch open, which you can still do with this. It doesn't have a swedge on the blade like the original does, but yeah, you can't remove the thumb, the flipper tab here, or you can't add a thumb disc to this. This is really meant to be a dedicated flipper. The original TRE, I believe, won an award. I can't remember what it was for, but it was, I think, for innovation or something. But the idea was the fact that you could configure this the way you wanted, and the fact that this blade length is 2 7/8 was the idea that you could basically carry this most places because it's under the 3-inch rule for most places. If you needed something that you couldn't have a flipper or a thumb plate and you needed something two-handed, you could remove both of those and have a two-handed opening knife. And then if you went back into a jurisdiction that allowed single-handed opening knives like a flipper or thumb plate, you could add it back on. The only thing that wouldn't apply is the fact that this still locks up. So if you had to have somewhere where you only can have slip joints, non-locking blades, or friction, you can only have friction folders or whatnot, that wouldn't apply there. But the idea was that it was going to be pretty universal. Yeah, an original TRE retailed around, well, I'm looking on collector knives here, but that was around $250. The TRE G10 comes in about $175 on collector knives, so it is cheaper. You don't get the ability to change out those components. You do actually get the same steel on all the TREs, G10 or the originals. You still get Bowler and 390, which is a great steel. And they're all titanium frame locks. The original TRE had a titanium show side or a carbon fiber show side. This one has G10 show side, titanium frame lock, and you have 3 options, at least I'm seeing online here, of G10. You have a OD green G10, you have a pink G10, and an orange G10. And overall, I went with this one because I think it was kind of just the most subtle of the options and more classy. So yeah, and yeah, it comes in at a lot less than, I mean, it's still not cheap at $175. It's still a decently priced knife, and but I think it comes in a little bit cheaper. You don't get the ability to change out those parts. You also don't get the wood presentation box. You just get a typical cardboard box from Lionsteel. But that's okay. You don't get the Torx tool either. But if you have Torx drivers already lying around the house, it doesn't matter. And I heard that the Torx keychain tool that came with the TRE wasn't really the best anyway. So why'd I get this knife? I usually don't go for smaller EDC knives, but this really appealed to me. Overall, it's a fantastic knife, I'd say. One knife that I don't have, and maybe one day I'll get one, is a small Sebenza 21. And I've seen videos on this. I don't have one with me, but yeah, the small Sebenza 21 is very similar in size to this. And the Sebenza 21, the small Sebenza 21, I think is like around $350. That's standard. That's without any kind of micarta inlays or anything. This is not even close to the price of a small Sebenza 21. Yet you have Bowler M390, which, you know, the Sebenza 21s I think are in S35 VN. You still have a good titanium frame lock. You have the ability to flip this open instead of using the thumb stud deployment in a Sebenza, and you're also not supposed to flick open a Sebenza or that voids the lifetime warranty. Anyways, but this is extremely smooth, extremely reliable. The lockup is great, and the fit and finish of this TRE is just incredible. And Lionsteel has impressed me especially with, you know, something like the SR2. Now the SR2, the SR series have had their problems, but you know, just the fact that they came out with the SR series, this single piece of aluminum, and of course this is more common nowadays in the knife community with doing a integral either titanium or aluminum handle, but Lionsteel really did a great job when they came out with the SR series, and just the fit and finish on this with the milling and and the aluminum handle that they did, it's just great. And so I really like the fact that Lionsteel puts so much attention to detail, and I think that when you look at the TRE, even in this G10 version, you see that there's so much attention to detail. So let's go over the knife. So you have a 2 7/8 inch blade, which is nice size. This is a nice classic style blade, you know, just classic drop point. Full flat ground. Let me take a look here. We have the Lionsteel. Just trying to get the reflections and light there, but we have Lionsteel Italy M390 on the blade. And then, of course, Moletta. And I can't remember his name, but we do know the designer who goes by Moletta in Italy, who works for Lionsteel all the time. When you look on here, we also see that it seems like it has IKBS. Yes, it does have a ball bearing system in it, but it is actually captured. It's not traditional IKBS where the ball bearings are just all floating around there, and if you open up the knife, the ball bearings would all fly out. These are actually still cage bearings. So it's not an actual IKBS logo. It is looks similar though. So construction, you have Torx on one side, on the show side here, except for the clip because I flipped that over. And then you have the female ends on the other side here, titanium frame lock. Now look at the work that was done on that G10. You know, I've had a lot of knives that have G10 over the years, but this is some of the nicest G10. Not just the way the texture feels, it's not aggressive, so you don't have a ton of grip, which I don't think this knife is meant to be. This is a gentleman's knife, I'd say. You know, classy. You know, go out to the, or you could even bring it to the office or whatnot. But this is not meant to be an outdoors knife or tactical knife or anything. This is a nice gentleman's carry. But yeah, not only is the texture nice and even on this G10, it's not aggressive, it's nice and smooth. It's just great work that they've done with it. It's very, very attractive, just all the work they did with the milling on it. They also have a lanyard hole if you want to add a lanyard. The pocket clip is titanium. I'll go over a little bit in the pocket clip later because that is also an interesting feature of this knife. So titanium frame lock, and the milling work carries over to the titanium frame lock, which is just, it's just incredible the work they did, because this looks really attractive. This is chamfered nicely all over. The milling work actually carries on to the back here, and then you have a, I believe it's G10 spacer in the back. Yeah, really attractive. You have a stainless steel insert in the frame lock there that you can change out. It looks like 2 little Torx bits if you need to change it out. Lockup is bank vault. It's great. It's not too early. It's not too much to lock up. It's like just about right. Yeah, it's great, and the flipping action is extremely smooth. You know, you overcome the detent, and that like drops shut. So it's a little bit hard to do in front of the camera. But yeah, it is extremely smooth. It's fantastic. It's one of the smoothest knives I have. This works best as a push button flipper, at least that I've found. That's really smooth. Does it work as a light switch style flipper? Let me try. You can do a light switch too, so it does work as both. And one of the problems that people had with the original TRE was the fact that, because you were able to open it either with a flipper or a thumb plate, the detent was kind of not really dialed in well to do either of those that great. But because this is a dedicated, that's a bad example, but because this is a dedicated flipper, the detent is dialed in very well for it being a dedicated flipper. And one thing I notice as a left-handed individual in a knife world that is mostly, let's be honest, friendly to right-handed carriers because left-handed people are very rare, is that disengaging a frame lock with your left hand, one-handed, instead of going over to the right hand to disengage it, and when it's a right-handed frame lock, it's usually not the easiest thing to do. But this knife is so well designed, it's so smooth. There's no lock stick. That this is one of those knives that I can pick up left-handed, flip it open, disengage with my left hand, and be able to close it. And I don't even have to actually close it all the way. I can, of course, drop shut it like that, which is great. One thing I'll say is the pocket clip. If you're a left-handed individual, it's a bit of an interesting feat to actually change this, because we look over here. There's a hole above, the hole below, which is actually when you take the pocket clip off, you'd realize this, but there's one part where the female end of the screw goes in, and so that's on the top. And then on the bottom, there's actually a little pin under the clip that holds it on. So this clip is very secure. It's not going to be moving anywhere. It's a titanium clip, so kind of matches that that really fancy style to this knife. It's got decent retention. I think it'll be okay. It's not a very deep carry. It's very simplistic, and it actually has a little bit of millwork on it as well. It's kind of hard to tell, but yeah. What I'm getting at here is the fact that when you remove the Torx bit to get this clip off, you not only have to remove the Torx bit, you have to get something, and I used, because I looked this up on blade forums, I used a Fisher Space Pen ink cartridge to actually push this pin out so you can remove the clip. So you take this Torx bit off and you try to tug on the clip, it doesn't actually move. So you got to actually take something to push this pin out in order to change the clip. So it is possible. It's not impossible to take the clip off or disassemble this knife completely. You can do it. You just got to get something to push that pin out. And if you swap the clip over, or if you take it apart and put it back all together and you're putting the clip back on, you want to make sure that that end that does not have a Torx bit is on the clip, and then the Torx bit end is on the opposite side, whether it is right or left hand carry. So yeah, and how much does a TRE G10 weigh? Well, this is another great thing, is that this is a very light knife. It's 2.39 ounces. Wow. It's got, for me, for a gentleman style carry, office carry, or you want something a little fancier, you don't want a intimidating blade, and you want a nicer blade. This is great. Nice titanium frame lock, great steel, and I didn't mention the spine. Just like the SR series, the spine's rounded, so you don't have jimping, but it's a great finish. This knife comes together, and it just looks really great. Now if you want something a little larger, they're not frame locks, but the Kerr series by Lionsteel is similar, I think, in kind of design. They have a different pocket clip, but they are all liner locks, I believe. I don't believe any of them are frame locks, but they're also a dedicated flipper knife, and I think they're a little bit cheaper. I'm not sure. I don't think they're M390 either. Could be wrong. Don't quote me on that one. But the Lionsteel TRE and the G10, I would definitely recommend. I would recommend it over the original TRE. I think the TRE G10, not only because it's more affordable, but because, because of being a dedicated flipper, that detent is dialed in correctly and it works very reliably. So yeah, that's all for this one. If you have any comments, leave them down below. Like and subscribe for more videos, and thanks for watching.